Reporting in from Sector 11, I'm Devin,
And I'm Tiny.
and you are listening to the Goddardam Gazette. Welcome to the show, Tiny. Today we are going to be talking about The Color Before the Sun for its 10-year anniversary. But before we start nerding out, I want to hear more about you. What are your top 3 favorite Coheed and Cambria songs? What is your favorite Coheed and Cambria album? And how did you get into Coheed and Cambria?
Those are some really loaded questions. That's a heck of a way to start a show. So, I love The Color Before the Sun. That's my favorite album, and I'm guessing that's probably one of the reasons why I'm here today. I also think that The Father of Make Believe is really sneaking up there, though. I just want to throw that in there. Favorite songs? That's super hard. The Hard Sell or Sentry gotta be in there. Gravity's Union. Um, yeah. Those are the 3 probably like right now that come to the forefront of my brain. And how I got into Coheed is kind of a longer story shorter. So I listened to them in junior high, downloaded Welcome Home on like Kazaa, played 10 speed on Rock Band. Um, my friends listened to them, but for me, kind of the interesting thing is like The Color Before the Sun was really like the start of a new chapter of my life and a new chapter of like my Coheed journey. The Afterman albums are kind of where I joined like online groups and started like exploring more like the code of fandom. And The Color Before the Sun like album and tour was really like the first time I was like, kind of expanding and a part of like the adventures and the fun and encompassing like the whole world that is Coheed that we know.
Yeah, The Color Before the Sun was my first album release, like, as a fan. Like, I'd seen them before, was familiar with the Afterman material mostly, and then this was like, oh, there's a literal hype train moving in, where there was like the tunnel on their website where if you typed in a certain hashtag, the timer would go down quicker. And it was like the first time that I saw the community like really join together to accomplish a goal of getting new Coheed. But I do have 2 things. It's so funny that your favorite album is The Color Before the Sun, but all of your favorite songs were off of Dissension. And that is so Coheed coded. That's hilarious.
Yeah, that's like top 3 right now. Like it's hard, the funny thing is like I really love like Pavilion too and 10 Speed. And it's not a secret, like the songs I really like, I'm very vocal about it. And the ones that I really talk about, almost none of them are off of The Color Before the Sun. So it is funny that you point that out. I feel like that is very Coheed coded.
And of course, we are recording this episode on the 20th anniversary of Good Apollo and Burning Star 4, Volume 1, From Fear Through the Eyes of Madness. You said you downloaded Welcome Home on Kazaa. What is Kazaa?
So it was like LimeWire or like BearShare or Napster, like all those, and it was just that's what I had on my computer.
Oh, okay, gotcha. I was like, I'm missing something here, but
It's funny that you said, like that The Color Before the Sun was your first like album release, and like so we kind of have this similarity or like kind of like a little bit of an overlap there. But the funny thing is like I said, like delving kind of deeper into like the online fandoms and the community and like really being connected with others. Having it be a 10-year anniversary of something like that is quite literally watching children of the fence grow up. And now, and I know we talk about this, so like some of the children of the fence now have children of the fence. So it's just wild seeing that, kind of happen and have that experience.
especially with the subject material of this album, becoming a parent and growing up and becoming an adult is such a strong running theme throughout the entire track list. Um, this was actually recorded live at St. Charles Studio in Nashville, Tennessee, produced by Jay Joyce. And of course, we have Claudio Sanchez, Travis Stever, Josh Eppard, and Zach Cooper on this record, with additional instrumentation and backing vocals by Chandra, Roy Adji, Mike Haynes, and Jennifer Coomer on horns, Avery Bright, Melody Morris, and Eleanor Denning on strings, Jay Joyce actually does jump in on the Rhodes piano here and there. And this Prize Fighter Inferno fella is credited over in the synth world. I wonder who that could be. For those of you who don't know, the Prize Fighter Inferno is Claudio Sanchez. So that's just like a really funny little haha. But yeah, this is a massive record, and it is its 10-year anniversary. And usually when Coheed has 10-year anniversaries of records, they tend to do this little thing called a never ender. So if Coheed and Cambria were to do a never ender for The Color Before the Sun, who would you want to see them play with on tour?
That's so. I should have thought about the questions that you were going to ask me so that I could have thought about pre-made answers, but I didn't. So that being said, I'm just going to say the first thing that came to mind because I've really been I would like to see Honey Revenge tour with Coheed. I think that'd be a really fun pop punk vibe. I don't know about for The Color Before the Sun Never Ender. I think it would be really cool to get some like string or like orchestral like arrangements in there. I think something like really wild would be like Kishi Bashi. That would be really awesome to see something like that in a mix.
I'm a little surprised you didn't say the Home Team.
I've been very loud and vocal about wanting the Home Team to tour with Coheed. I think if I've tagged either of them or yell it any louder with a megaphone, like that's definitely on the top list of I'd love to see that. Outline and Color, I think, would be another fun band to see with them.
Speaking of tours, the Color Before the Sun run was probably some of their best live shows they've done. And as we talk about the record, they did do a special edition that came out called The Color Before the Sun Deconstructed, which had live bootlegs off of the soundboard during those tours. And while we're not going to be talking about those songs specifically, I just wanted to give those a mention because, oh my gosh, the fact that you can hear the crowd sing along to songs like In Keeping Secrets and Century the Defiant and Blood Red Summer and, of course, Island is phenomenal. And it's so cool that, the first and only non-concept Coheed record really brought the fans together. And, there's also a song about the audience called The Audience, which we will talk about in a little bit. Going back to one of those songs that I mentioned, Island, it just so happens to be the very first song off of The Color Before the Sun. How do you feel about this song, Tiny?
Island is such a good song. It's like a good alt rock anthem. It has really good energy. And I think it's actually I think some people kind of cast it out a little bit, especially with the long intro with the Q train and everything. But it's really, really, really good. It's got really good noodly doodly riff real estate that I think gets kind of ignored a little bit. Over the chorus, you hear it if you're listening really close, and it's really good.
It's a long song too. I mean, you do, like you said, you do have that, subway riding in and fading out, but it's a chunky song. I'm just gonna say it. This album opens with the greatest Coheed and Cambria track of all time. The acoustic riff that goes right into the power chords with drum fills. It sounds like you're ascending to the gates of Heaven's Fence, but really, this is a non-concept album, so you're not. But we do get a really cool music video for this one, which was shot in New York City, and it features a romance between two Times Square superheroes that are copyright protected, so they're not actually those heroes. But you can tell when you watch it who they're representing. But I do love the harmonies that you get right from the start of the vocals. But the lyrics themselves are really, really personal and impactful. And there's this incredible guitar line that kicks in where it pops up and then descends into the main riff again. And the way Coheed builds, hearing that for the first time was just mind blowing. And the chorus, I mean, that is. Probably my favorite part of any Coheed song ever. The lyrics make me smile, and they've made me cry, especially growing up on Long Island. The 2 snare hits after Shore are what I live for, and the bass line is so rich that it owns properties in both Montauk and in the Hamptons. The little drum fills we get throughout the song keep it really interesting. And then we get a full stop on everything except for that main riff, and the drums come in again. The floaty lyrics and the bass finally comes back in with an absolutely ridiculous line. It really helps build that final chorus and explodes into the outro where that whole brightness of Island turns sour. And we're crashing on the shores of this proggy jam that leads into Eraser.
I think the points that you made about like the how it builds is it's really kind of undervalued in the song, like where you get that like real heavy solo over the chorus, and then Josh has like really great drum fills up into this really super layered outro. And I think that into it's almost like a jarring transition, but it's super smooth and clean at the same time, if that makes sense. And I feel like from Island to Eraser, like the concept that also makes a lot of sense. And one thing about this album is like I said, so I listened to it like, you know, when it first came out, had kind of a different meaning for me. I was in a place in my life where, you know, I was a young parent. I was at a place where I had this family and I had this lifestyle that was kind of one way. And then later I would listen to the album and I would be in a different place in my life. I would be a single parent and I would be, you know, in a different situation listening to it. And so the first time when I listened to it, it was like, oh, you know, I'm a stay-at-home mom. My husband's at work. I'm feeling super stuck and claustrophobic and isolated, you know, not, you know, being able to be out with friends or feeling, you know, kind of that point. And then I listened to it again, you know, like post that, and it's like, you know, the metaphor for everything really kind of took on a new meaning. And so I think that's part of why it's my favorite album, is I have kind of like these dual experiences with it. And it's like at a time where I felt super consumed by chaos, this album was a very big piece. And I think you brought up the Big Dud lyric, and the line after that is, it goes together and it parallels so well with that second verse of like, it's like that realization, you know. And for each song on the album, I know I told you this, I wanted to make a little comparison with like another band so that maybe like other listeners would be like, hey, maybe I'll listen to that, you know? And I think Island is their Weezer Summer Warped Tour song.
Okay. That's fair, actually. That's very fair. Honestly, when people ask me, obviously, what's my favorite Coheed song, I have to say Island. At one point, I did have 12 different versions of the song on my phone.
12?
12 different versions, yes. From the Daytrotter sessions to the Big Beige demos, which, you know, shout out
Big
to
Beige. Big Beige. I held it in earlier when you mentioned Deconstructed Deluxe and you were talking about them. I was like, just I'll hold it in. I won't mention it.
Oh, well, now here's your chance. Talk about the Big Beige demos. Come on.
Well, we have to have like a whole nother episode or something. I was like, is the Big Beige demos? Is this what's I had to actually, and this is the truth. So I actually went back and had to listen to The Color Before the Sun because I probably haven't heard that album actually in at least 5 years, maybe. Like I always listen to the Big Beige demos. I'm always listening to Big Beige. So that's kind of the joke with everybody. It's like Big Beige, Tiny and Big Beige.
It's so good that it like stands as its own album. And we'll talk about it later, but there was a point in time where it was supposed to be pressed to vinyl, and there was an unfortunate mishap, and it did not. But we do move on to Eraser. Now, Eraser has this like gnarly opening riff with some really great effects on it, with these crunchy snare hits. And the lyrics come in and things start to really get moving. I'm just a toy waiting for you to play me. I wanna make it especially with the delivery of it's really intense, and you're hit with this monster of a chorus in terms of lyrics. The idea of growing older and not being who you thought you would be, and maybe not liking that version of yourself or being unsure of that version of yourself, this song really hits hard. When this album came out, I was in high school and Alyssa was going away to college, and I was really not dealing with that in the best way. And this song kind of like snapped me back, and I was like, whoa, like kind of being a jerk, dude. This is not who you want to be, or who you thought you would be, so let's maybe turn things around a little bit. And drumming was a huge part of that, and playing along to this album, especially this song, the drums hit hard as hell. And after that first chorus, we get some absolutely incredible layering and developing of textures with the guitars, playing almost what sounds like to be an electric screwdriver, very Year of the Black Rainbow sounding. And some really interesting cymbal hits, followed by mysterious sounding notes to really keep you interested. And the delivery of is so good. And this part kind of gets a quote unquote answer later on in the album in the song You Got Spirit Kid. And we get some laughs, a wicked guitar solo. And the hi-hat has such a great sound here, too. The instrumentation cuts out aside from drums and vocals, and you get these clock gear sounds. Before coming in for a final chorus. And there's a lyric video for this, too, which is actually really, really sick. But, yeah.
Eraser is amazing. I think you're talking about the drums. I get big Weird Science vibes, a lot of ghost notes, ironically ghost notes for Eraser. But then the bass has it syncs up with the ghost notes. The guitar's got some sick power chords, and you get the back and forth. The only way I can describe it is you just get this insane chugga. It's just angular, heavy riffs, halftime grooves, just super duper fun. I think the chorus being such a contrast is really cool. And I think, again, the duality of this song, the first time I listened to it, I was like, man, how do I do this? There's no rule book to parenting. Like, I'm just doing the best that I can to raise my kids like better than me. But also, how do you do that in a way that like doesn't erase your own like personal identity outside of motherhood? And then later I listened to it and I was like, wow, like I have no clue who I am. Like everything I thought I knew was completely obliterated. Like, like this is a new journey now. And how do I like let go and like move with this new journey? So I think like this one for me for the comparison, I think this is Foo Fighters trying to channel Muse. That's what I think about this one. Yeah.
Damn, the comparisons are crazy. Foo Fighters channeling Muse.
And honestly, this is my like I love the and then the different inflections and like the different like twists on how many times and how many different ways that he can say how many times, and he just changes it up. I think it's really good.
That's I didn't even put it together, but that line, not the right plastic, does also get an answer kind of in You Got Spirit Kid with
Yeah.
like that. Oh man, I after
I
10
have
years
that
I just
callback
realized
later
that.
too. Yeah.
Damn, yo, this album is so good. But the idea of like turning the clocks back to the way things were, the kid before the man. I mean, that is also very good Apollo No World for Tomorrow, or just, Claudio Kilgannon coded. So it kind of shows that when there is the concept element to it, the story is still coming from a very real place, and the writing is still very real, even though we're talking about aliens and space battles and ships that can jackhammer a planet. It all comes from a real place, and when you kind of peel that back, you get The Color Before the Sun. So it feels very raw, and I think the idea of recording it live adds to that as well. Then we really slow things down with Colors.
So I think the transition is actually my least favorite probably part of the album, and I love all of it, so it's not really anything big, but it's short. The transition and then into colors, it is like a very slow, so it feels like it's like, oh, we're changing this up. I think it's gentle and slow. The cymbal swells are really cool from Josh. And there's like some weird delay reverb effects going on like in it, so it's kind of like atmospheric or like sort of spacey. I think that this song is like almost in a way, like I know it's like you want to slow down and like appreciate the small things and kind of take it in, but also just like after like the lyrical parental anxiety is a big, it's a big move.
Share our culture's casualty. Can't see the forest from the trees.
Like you hear that and it sticks with you. And I think this song definitely took the longest to grow on me. It was probably like on the first listen, it was probably like my least favorite if I had to pick one, from the album. So it took a bit to grow on me. I know that listeners can't see like the faces, but the facial expressions for the comparisons are so fun. And I think that you're going to like this one. I think that Colors is their Death Cab for Cutie song.
Yep. Okay, so that's so wild that this one was the one that took the longest to grow on you, because mine was Ghost, but we'll talk about that.
No.
I know. This is what I would consider to be the title track of the record, The Color Before the Sun, Colors.
Yeah.
We do get a music video for this one, and it's really, man, try not to cry. It's comprised of cuts from the band's touring cycles and gives us a look behind the scenes and also on stage. And it's just the massive chorus is playing, and they're like in slow motion, just going crazy on stage. And it's like mixed with Claudio taking Atlas for a swim, and like Travis playing with Rory, and the family behind the band, and it's a really interesting juxtaposition. And the way that this song starts, like you said, very atmospheric and like spacey, and it brings you in. And Zach really did write a perfect bass line to this song. It's dramatic and truly carries the entire feel. This is exemplified with these notes that just make your heart sing. And then the snare brings you back for another chorus. What another bit of fantastic lyricism. The track slows down to end out, and the vocal line is transposed out to piano, ending on rising notes that break the ones that we're familiar with to better transition into the next song. This song has never been played live, and what a beautiful moment it would be to have this song be presented in that setting with the lights being rainbows and like just encapsulating all the children of the fence. I don't know. This song needs its spot in the spotlight.
I think it also, you're talking about the live, how some of this tour like is some of the best live songs. I think that this is a really great live album because it is a live album, and so they translate really well live. The transitions, these are some of the best transitions that you'll see in the entire discography, and I'm saying that after coming from Mary Blindside Play the Poet. So we see clean transitions everywhere, but this album is really, I think, a never ender for this would absolutely just be completely unhinged. I think that we would see our favorite album in a never ender and the world would collide into colors, and it would be fantastic.
From a discography standpoint, this follows the Afterman Ascension and Ascension, which also have a very unified feel. And I think that they kind of mastered it on The Color Before the Sun, because you go from Colors into Here to Mars. And unfortunately for Zach, his bass does not get a second to cool down. It's still actually on fire, because he is moving in this song as soon as it kicks in.
Hey stranger, been a long while since I've loved you or anything. How the times have changed.
I love the vocal approach on. It sounds like something right off of Good Apollo, and the line,
I'm leaving you with this here, okay? Over and out there, honey, it's in the stars.
over and out, maybe a little nod to In Keeping Secrets, kind of like our ending of the podcast. Over and out, Connecticut. We'll see you next time. Yeah, you know. But where Coheed is known for its slower, more reserved love songs, this one is right in your face. Again, the bass is on it here with an awesome riff.
Understood.
Things really start to change where we get some synths and an instrumental pullback before exploding again.
A world without you hurts. Please, I'm sorry.
We get wild screaming, massive bass. And then we catapult into a final long chorus where the line is replaced with. There's also a lyric video for the song, But most notably, and we were talking about this before, Coheed performed this song with the NSO Pops for NASA's 60th anniversary.
I would have evaporated on the spot and returned to cosmic space dust if I would have heard the NASA 60th anniversary edition of that. Watching Claudio try to contain the Sanchez shuffle is the only break you will get from like crying your eyes out. I watched that this morning before he did it, and I was ugly crying at my computer. I was like, wow, I can't believe that this is, and what an experience too, to be invited to do that and be there. And I think this another 10-year anniversary on the 20th anniversary for another album, I think is just another testament to kind of that growth and that we were talking about seeing.
How the times have changed. Distorted, a figure setting trend, emotionless. And the words lose all their meanings. Goodbye, lost is long, forgotten. Discouraged.
So this is a total like rom-com stadium rock with the chorus to literally the moon or Mars, if you will. So like what's not to like about it? I actually think that this might be the one song to convince a non-Coheed fan to like Coheed because it's so catchy, but it's still really deep. I think it has like a connection for people, right? Because you have that universe that kind of, you know, we're all floating on this big rock in space. And so I think you have that and the kind of smallness, but also the bigness of it all too, like metaphorically and actually. And you were talking about like the drums kind of building like into the guitar, into the I will never let you go. And it's the biggest just scream, but also still so raw. And I have a funny story about this song, actually. So the first time that I met up with a big core group of like internet friends, you know, I'm still friends with most of them to this day. And we were at this concert and we were outside and they're about to play Here to Mars. And Claudio looks out and there's this big thing all over the news, you know, that Mars was going to be in the sky and visible and, you know, photography and all this and whatever. And so it was that night and Mars was out in the sky and Claudio looks out and he's like, oh, it's so great that we get to be outside like with all of you and like playing this, you know, song for you outside underneath Mars. And he's like, and I think Mars is like over there. And he points out, you know, into the sky and everyone kind of looks and then he just kind of pauses for a minute. He's like, actually, that might be like a power plant, but Mars is out there somewhere. And they just kind of immediately went into the song and it was just so it's like one of those moments that's just like really funny and really cheeky and cool. And it stuck with me for, you know, whatever reason there.
For something like that, which is so touching and then hit with comedy is like, that's so great.
Yeah. And I think for Here to Mars, I don't know if a lot of people will maybe know this is one of the ones that maybe isn't as popular, but I think Here to Mars is their Stars song. So when there's nothing left to burn, you have to set yourself on fire. You know, your ex-lover is dead, Stars. Check them out. If you don't hear it, listen to it. The imagine the NASA performance with like strings with like a duo with like Chandra or like a higher, like even higher vocal set. That's kind of what it makes me think of. And the lyrics to it are like you said, it is a love song. It's deep, but it's still like
Distorted, a figure setting trend, emotionless. And the words lose all their meaning.
that's almost like an afterman. I just picture like falling through the key work, like, you know.
Yeah, for real. Okay, so here's a secret. I don't really, well, I like it now, but at first the screams, I didn't like it that I wasn't really into hardcore quote unquote music, and like I was like, oh, that's kind of jarring. But then they did it live and he's like sings it and he powerfully boasts it in this higher range. And I was like, oh, I like that a lot more. But I've come to appreciate the screams, which is funny now because I like bands like Kaonashi.
I was just about to say, I kind of got a little misty-eyed. Like, I don't know why that stuff. Like, I was joking. I was like, I'm not going to cry in this episode, am I? But, like, I kind of got a little misty-eyed because it's, like, sort of a nod to that watching people grow up. And so, because it's like now, like literally Dev's always like, listen to Kaonashi, you gotta listen to Kaonashi, you gotta listen to the song. It's so funny to hear you say, like, I wasn't really a big fan of that now. And then comparing that as a really cool arc and growth. It's funny how the songs change and kind of grow and take new meaning on. And I think that's a good segue because there's a super smooth transition from this like rom-com rock anthem into probably one of the most haunting songs I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah, Ghost is an acoustic track, and just like its name, as you said, it's really haunting. And I know this is like your jam, so.
Ghost is amazing. I have so much love for Ghost. I'm forever gutted the one tour I missed. They played it, and I'm forever grateful to you. You were thoughtful enough to send me a video. Everyone knows that I was looking forward to it. I was talking about it a bunch, and to get sent a video was like, it was really cool to kind of like still be able to be a part of that and see it. Such a stripped down acoustic, the finger picking, the melancholy sounds, like this song also has ghost notes for drums because, you know, it's kind of, there's not, anyway. But yeah, it's raw acoustic. It's super intimate. It's really, really haunting. And the first time that I listened to it, I was so focused on how hauntingly beautiful and melancholy that it was. I was so gripped by emotion. Like, I instantly loved it. I still think it's deeply underrated. Listening to the second time around, though, it was like kind of what sort of pulled me like really deep and back in. Like I was like, how do we even do any of this? It's so gut wrenching.
How am I to keep from blemishing this masterpiece? How am I to know?
And then
From this bar, honey, I just wanna be on the outside, looking in.
when I heard that line for the first time, I just stopped dead in my tracks what I was doing. And I felt like very seen. Like I've always kind of had a lot of moments where I sort of felt like an NPC, like looking down on your life, like you're on the outside looking into your own life. And I heard that line and I was like, wow, this is a lyrical masterpiece. I can't even believe it.
For me, the lyrics that really stand out are,
As a boy, I watched the world through broken eyes, given to me by men, his wife, and all they had disguised. Uncertainty now keeps me asking how I lead the most. As they became more, will I teach the examples of their ghosts?
and that is mixed with Claudio taking a really low register here. And like with other songs, this could easily be something from the Amory Wars, you know, referencing Coheed and Cambria. But no, this is real. This is a real emotion, a very vulnerable song on a very vulnerable album.
It's a concept album, and the concept is his life, his real life. And I think, you know, because this album is so raw, it is, you know, no comics, no key work, no space opera. It's just, you know, life. It's moving, it's fatherhood, it's creative and musical anxieties, it's Coheed stripped of every single thing but vulnerability. And Ghost, I think, you know, obviously it's one of my favorite songs. It's probably, it's hard for me. It is my favorite on the album. I think Here to Mars is really good. I'm just gonna be like, Here to Mars is very, very good. That being said, I think this is my favorite comparison. I think Ghost is Simon and Garfunkel meet City and Color. It's Save Your Sound of Silence. That's what Ghost is.
These are wild. I actually love this. We need to do this for every Coheed album now.
Yeah.
And every Coheed song. So
I hope other people love this. There's probably going to be some feedback on those comparisons. To be clear, there's no way to compare my favorite band on this whole planet to any other band on earth. People ask me all the time, what is who's that? What does that band sound like? And it's just, you can't even name a band. You can't do it. And so to kind of break it down by song is also very kind of just like a little bit of a meme and a nod to that, that they are their own niche and really do their own thing. And they kind of break the mold.
Ooh, together we'll break the mold. The acoustic song referencing the acoustic song. Let's go. But if you listening have any comparisons from Coheed to another band, please leave us a comment on Spotify. We do respond to them, and it would be really cool actually to hear what you think. As we move into Atlas, though, I do have a story about the first time I heard this song. So I'm just going to get it out of the way now. So there was one morning when I was outside waiting for the bus to take me to my shitty high school. It was really cold, and I was just trying to kill some time. And I opened Tumblr because that was huge still, I guess. And the first post was somebody who shared the song Atlas. And I was like, no way. This album isn't even out yet. This is going to be a Rickroll. So I clicked it, and nope, it was the actual song. And I remember standing there waiting for the lame bus and just absolutely having my mind blown. Usually I had my friend who waited with me, but he wasn't there that day. So it was literally just me listening to music. And when it got to the part in the middle of the song where it's just, drum and bass, and they're just jamming with the main riff, it was already cold out, but that gave me actual chills. It's one of Coheed's best parts, in my opinion, and they did release like an acoustic version of this song before The Color Before the Sun came out, but having this version out of nowhere, obviously as a leak, don't participate in leaks if you can avoid it. I was just a teenager who was like very curious. It just blew me away, and it was like a complete shock and surprise. But that acoustic version that Claudio uploaded is super sick because it has Claudio beatboxing at the end of it, and Atlas sneezes on time, and it's like it's so adorable, absolutely hilarious.
It's really fun, I think, to kind of have those moments where you have just that focus on the music, or where the music transports you to a different space. And I think, like I said, this album's, gone with us through 10 years of experiences and things, and the journey in your life might look different. And I hope it does. I hope it looks different after 10 years, and I hope it looks better. I think Atlas is kind of a little bit of a testament to that, right? It's very slowly expands. It's another like push pull, has very, very vulnerable verses and then super explosive choruses, which, it's a very Coheed coded as well. When I first listened to this, it was very much like, I'm the Atlas, I'm going to be there for you and guide you. Like, when dad goes to work, like, we still love you, like, we'll be back at the end of the day, or, what I mean? Kind of like that feeling. And later I was like, oh, being a young parent and then transitioning into later in life, and I was like, oh, like, you're the Atlas. Like, kids are really the Atlas. Like, everything feels so screwed up and out of place, but they really are the anchor. And it's funny, the lyrics for me, that for me, like, I've probably read that line more times than I could even count. And like, sometimes when you hear, like you said, you're just focused, you could spend a whole day focusing on some of these lyrics and metaphors and how just in their own right and not even connected to a concept, or like you said, when you have connections between, you've got Spirit Kid and Eraser, different things. It's just wild how much really goes into that. And I really like it kind of has like a little bit of a marching band feel with the snare, a lot of snare in it. And then really clean guitar, very clean guitar picking, like absolutely ridiculous. And this is actually dad rock, right? This is actually the dad rock. And this comparison, this is proggy Snow Patrol.
Literal dad rock. That's so funny.
Dad
That is
rock for moms who love reverb.
Oh my god. Oh my god, that is so funny. You're absolutely right though. The guitar playing is ridiculous on this, and the keys behind the guitar notes on the opening riff is so pleasing to the ears. It's really magical and bright, and then Zach comes in with these massive notes, and then bam, like you said, that snare hits, and we get some super passionate vocals from Claudio. We get some more vocals, the band jams, and then just such a massive chorus with great instrumentation all around, especially with the harmonies and the percussion. Probably the most heartbreaking lyric is in this song, and the lyric is, hearing that, like, just in your headphones, your earbuds, whatever, live, I mean, how do you not get emotional from that? We get a nice little drum fill to bring us into probably one of the coolest moments of the record, as I said before. The guitar and drums play over these massive whole notes on the bass, then things calm down and get quiet. And then we build back up for another huge chorus. And to close out super strong, the vocal lines are matched with this beautiful counter melody. Come on, that's some amazing writing, and it's like an entire journey in one song, very much so like one of the Willing Wells or one of the Continuums, or, you know, a suite off the other records that take you on a journey. Atlas is that journey on this record for me.
I think a journey is a really good way to describe it. You talked about like Zach coming in, and I think the guitar is super clean. It has like, it does have like this warm kind of like lullaby, you know, very like, but it's also like super like kind of bright, and like I would say the guitar is more like sparkly, you know, and the bass kind of has like this warm lullaby kind of feel to it that brings it into like a really cool push and pull. And I think that it's fun, the transition from this song to Young Love, because like the proggy jarring comes after again. Like it's very much, you're just on a constant journey of like push and pull, and that is very much what a live show feels like. Like you will be absolutely gutted on the rail thinking, how am I going to make it through this next song? And then a Sanchez shuffle or a fun little quirk comes out or something, and you're laughing and you're wiping your tears again. And it's just, it's a journey. It's an entire journey.
It's very like wake up into the suffering, or
Yeah.
as they just did on the summer tour, Corner My Confidence into Tethered Together. It's like, whoa, okay.
That's the exact moment I thought of, was Corner My Confidence and to Tethered, because it sent me. I had no idea it snuck up on you, and then all of a sudden you're like, wait, and then you have this like, kind of crowd chant or callback, and that warmth and that energy and that camaraderie and community to bring it back.
Absolutely. And Young Love, a lot of people don't like the opening riff of this song, but I love it. It's like, it just scratches a riff itch in my brain, because it feels like waking up on a fall morning. Like, it's a little chilly outside, maybe there's some fog, the lyrics hit like absolute poetry, and the drums are really unique too. There's like this press roll during the instrumentation break, and the verses have some really great lyrics and harmonies, especially with the lyrics. The ghost notes and guitar playing in the background of the second chorus give us so much to listen for too. Even though it has been a decade since this record came out, I'm still discovering new notes and new lines in this track that are just absolutely beautiful. And at the end of this song, Zach's walking bass line is superb. It really brings this kind of tension into the track, and then just like Island, we get another jam out of nowhere. It's really light and airy, and this song is of course about the Big Beige, in an absolutely iconic location for Claudio, Coheed, and the COTF.
Yeah, for all the big beige love, this song had a little bit of young love for me. It took time to grow on me too, if you will. I think the bass and the drums, you can kind of feel like a hip hop influence in the fills from Josh, and then this kind of laid back, like, low end bass, and the guitar is very, it's funny you said like the opening and stuff. I feel like this is a very like upbeat, playful, this is one of my favorite, like the syncopated offbeat rhythm guitar. It's got like little noodly doodlies in it. Like, it's very fun for your brain, and like you said, like there's so much discovery there. I think the first time that I listened to this song, I was comparing like, my own relationships, like how life was like, what did young love look like, and what did it turn into? And, like I said, like this family and like this house, and like, what are you doing with things? And then later, it's more like reflecting on that. What did I learn from it? How to carry myself going forward, and what those relationships look like now. And the line, ouchie, like that hits, that hurts. If that doesn't hurt you, like, I don't know. And then good, this might, if you haven't thought of this before, this might kind of mess it up and you'll forever hear it, but I'm fine with that. I'd like to know too if as parents they ever thought, or like as parents, did they ever make this kind of connection? But every time I hear the line, I always want to sing Good Night Moon, Good Night Room, because it reminds me of Good Night Moon. And it's really good. It's really playful. It's upbeat. I think the syncopated stuff is really, really cool. And I think that this is their The Strokes' Cage the Elephant vibe song.
That is so funny that you say Cage the Elephant, because Joyce also, yeah.
Yeah. And I think it is. I do. I think it has big. That's what I heard when I heard it. I was like, oh, I was like, wow, that's really cool. I like that. I like the noodly doodly in this one's so good. It's so good.
So you got Spirit Kid. I mean, this song, I remember so distinctly so many things about this. I guess maybe because it was my first real album drop when this song came out and people were on Reddit and like, this isn't Coheed. They're like, this is not Coheed. This is somebody covering or not somebody covering. This is somebody pretending to be Coheed. This is not a Coheed song. They would never write a song like this. This is yeah, blah 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 blah. But this is Coheed, right? Like this is exactly what some of the call and responses on this record like all surmount to. I just thought it was so funny that people were like, this isn't Coheed. They would never write a song like this. And it's like, yeah, actually they would.
I think that's kind of, it's funny you say that because this definitely kind of feels a lot about like, you know, this album's like trying to find your identity, like in parenting and creativity and songwriting, like writing this super different album and having maybe the mixed reception, like, you know, what would that be when it's like unequivocally one of the best albums ever written? And I mean that with all sincerity. I find that to be really, you know, you're always going to have obviously the differences in opinions and everything like that, but I think it really does kind of sing to a testament of this album of like, that's what the song almost is sort of about. Like it's saying, you know, it's like this is Fun Century the Defiant, right? Like it didn't change that much for me from first listen to second listen either. It's just an all around like catchy song. And like you said, it has a whole bunch of callbacks as well. I think it's interesting the reception on, like you said, you seeing those mixed things and those posts and that. Do you think that this, like, do you think it would have been better received if it had been introduced at a different time?
You know, I don't know because it doesn't matter, right? Like that's what the song is. It doesn't matter. It's who gives a fuck? You know, it can go in either direction. And the idea of like not taking things too seriously is what the song is kind of all about. So, you know, you look at what comes on later in the discography with The Dark Sentencer, and like that was just dropped out of nowhere. And clearly that was incredibly well received. You get songs then off of Vaxis 2, which people don't really like because of the vocal production on it. And, you know, now we had Yuko just drop and people are like, you know, so it doesn't, I don't think it really matters the timing of it all. It's going to be what people's preference are, what they've grown accustomed to. And at the end of the day, no one gives a fuck who you are. You either like it or you don't. But they clearly have fun with this song, especially when they did it live and they had the lights actually say fuck spelt out. That was so sick. I mean, and they had confetti. Like sometimes in this discography, you know, things get very serious. They get very dark. And this song is kind of the other side to the coin where, like you said, it's Fun Century, where Century's like a serious song. This is just, you know, lighthearted. You know, who cares? You know, we're having fun with it. We're jamming.
It's so fun. Like, I think it's very punky energy. It has the call response vocals. It's super catchy. The drums, Josh has got a bunch of playful fills. The palm mutes are really cool in it. I think is one of the greatest lines that anyone's ever like it's so funny and so good and cheeky, and like it's just a good testament to his lyric writing. The chorus hits hard. And you definitely, you cannot forget, that's a very important line in the song. So I've been listening to the album a lot in preparation for this episode. I don't know how many times I've listened to this album. So my kids have heard this album a lot lately. And, I let them know, like, after this date, we'll take a break and we won't be listening to this album so much anymore, in the car, everywhere we are. I'm getting it in anywhere I can. And one of my tiny humans, they both like Coheed and they both have their own favorite songs and stuff, but one of them is kind of ebbing into their own likes and they're kind of moving out of that, like, well, I like them and objectively they're a good band, it's just that I'm just not listening to them right now or something, is what they said. I'm like, okay. And after listening to this, they've added Here to Mars and You Got Spirit Kid to their playlists, and they're running around the house using all kinds of different sound effects. Like, for example, if they're doing, like, loading the dishwasher, it's nobody gives a slam the dishwasher who you are. So, like, they just put in all these little sound effects for the curse words. So that's been a fun little development around my household. And then the comparison for this one is You Got Spirit Kid is Paramore with Blink 182 vocal inflections.
So I was going to kind of save this for later. I'll just save it for later. I'll save it for later. But the Paramore reference is diabolical in terms of plot for this episode. That's so sick. No, that's perfect. That's amazing. It's so good. It's so good. We have a lyric video for this with the confetti falling. So, like, of course, it was cool to see that live. But the coolest part of this song is the fact that they invited the Children of the Fence to film a music video with them, and it was a bad B 80s movie style take revenge against high school bullies kind of music video. There's cameos from management and people that worked behind the scenes with Coheed on here, and it just, again, lighthearted. Don't take yourself too seriously. For the song itself, I absolutely love the way the lead guitar fades into the rhythm guitar to start out. It's very pop punk. The drums and bass pull you in with a single hit. And then we get a little... The lyrics are incredible with some intense delivery. The chorus has a great fill going into it as well. We get some sing-along action, as you said, and some beautifully piercing guitar notes that just, again, tickle my ear, especially at... And then it opens up, almost taking you back to the beginning of the album with some auxiliary percussion. Before going back into another chorus, ending on the line, "Nobody gives a fuck who you are." And we get an almost Western style outro here, very, very similarly to On the Brink, which I think was really, really cool and very fitting for the next song, as it is one of the heaviest, darkest songs, if not the heaviest and darkest song on the record.
Yeah, I think that's interesting about You Got Spirit Kid in the video. It's a really good testament to what I'd like to think of as community. We can have some fun and we can have some cheeky vibes, pun intended, but, not pushing the envelope too far. And I think that peak community humor, memes, countdowns, confetti, like, it really is kind of just I think it's like a little testament, right, to like you said, community kind of getting together and all working together to kind of have a common goal and do something. And I think that's it's another one of my favorite transitions from You Got Spirit Kid into the audience, because it does linger a little bit, but it's super smooth.
The audience is a huge departure from the other tracks on this record, and it goes right into this grunge opening with tribal-esque drums. The lyrics have always stuck out to me. And Josh's hi-hat here sounds like a snake's hiss, which really drives home that lyricism. Zach has an absolutely nasty line. Like, stank faces all the way on that one. He also does this like slide, which builds into the most massive fourth wall breaking moments in the entire discography with the lyrics. Like, holy shit, I needed to include that entire clip here because what an absolutely massive bit of lyricism, instrumentation, and just overall writing. We get some whispers around these notes that take us into a huge jam. Where Zach again makes that bass sing. But yeah, this whole part is really just a huge groove met with the line.
This is a very fun song. It's very theatrical. It's like a little jog or a strut. Definitely one of the more proggy songs on the record. Heavy, crunchy, chugging, just syncopated. Just the guitar is absolutely just decimating. The drumming's got that syncopated thing going on again, and it's very cool. I think that's very distinct in this song. And then the bass is also super aggressive, thick. That's what this song sounds, just thick and just chunky and chugga. That's what you get from it. As I'm saying that, I'm rethinking. I was like, I remember my band comparison, and I'm like, oh, this is very chugga chugga. I could think of some folks they've toured with. But the first time I was in the middle of like a pretty intense time in my life when I heard this song. I was in a place where I felt like some local systems were really failing children, not only my own, but other children as well. Which at the time, that was my audience, I guess. And so I was in this place, this really intense situation, and it felt really intense. And then later I listened to it and it took on like a different meaning, right? I saw the parallels kind of between breaking the fourth wall and the push and the pull of the audience creator relationship, the whole, story of the boy and then his audience. The descriptions are completely amazing and detailed, but they don't lose the plot. It's not too, you're not talking in some of these roundabout metaphors where you could sit with it, for days. And then I think the lines for me comes right after some of the ones that you were talking about again. It's another very century feel. It's very guttural and very like, this is still so raw and has so much emotion that it absolutely belongs right there on the album in that place. Especially like, it's funny to me right before maybe one of the most peaceful songs you could ever have on the planet.
When I listen to this record, it's very much so Island to You Got Spirit Kid, and then The Audience and Peace to the Mountain. For me, it's like this is almost these are the longer songs on the record. And, while Atlas is absolutely a journey, like these two going back to back into each other is just something entirely different. And I don't know, it's one of the reasons why this record works so well is you have all these overarching juxtapositions that drive home the motifs, the messages, and the themes of all these songs.
So I have to tell you my comparison for the audience. There's Smashing Pumpkins song.
Okay. On that, the guitar solo in Toys is a Smashing Pumpkins guitar solo.
Okay.
That's where I connect Smashing Pumpkins to Coheed. When they played Riot Fest together, that was like a full circle moment for me. I was like, but I love that you brought the Smashing Pumpkins. I mean, I could do a whole episode on Oceana, to be quite honest. But we're talking about Peace to the Mountain.
All right. Peace to the Mountain. This is phenomenal piano and strings. It builds into just this crazy cinematic climax for like just a minute. You kind of wonder, oh, is this space opera? Space Hymn incoming? Like it's gonna happen, right? This is the concept album, surely. You kind of have that moment, right? I think it should be on a lot of soundtracks. It should be used for events. Like it's so versatile. You could play it at a funeral. You could play it at a graduation or a send off. Like you could pretty much do anything with it. I think it's a really versatile song. Again, it's a journey, and literally Peace to the Mountain is about a literal, figurative, however you want to look at it, journey. You went on this journey of this push pull emotional album, and then to end it with just, like I said, it felt like a lot of internal chaos and then just peace. The cymbal washes and restraint from Josh, incredible. Super like Neil Young flavor going on a little bit. I can't really speak a lot to the bass. I don't know a lot about bass. I really tried hard to listen to the parts of these songs for the album so I could say a couple of intelligent things about the bass. I hope I've done bass people proud with that. And I think like one of the wildest lines from this whole album for me that hit home for me is rejected to the brink. Only so much I can change. An artist I wish I could have made. Am I irrelevant? Oh, will I get a chance to change the colors permanent? So let me. And it's just, like, are you kidding? The way, am I irrelevant? And the way that he asks it with the tits, like, shit, I don't know. Am I supposed to answer this question? Are you answering this question? What is this question? Like, it's wild how much emotion that you can get just from kind of that one little piece.
Absolutely. And that line, again, reminds me of On the Brink, and also from Colors earlier on in the record, like a culmination of everything that came before it. To kind of steal your comparison here, this is like a Beatles song.
I think Deb was cheating and looking at my Google Docs somehow. This is Freddie Mercury channeling his inner Let It Be.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, this is Freddie channeling his inner Let It Be. And I do get that. It's very Let It Be Beatles vibes. I get that for sure. And I think that's a really good little place to kind of, I was going to wait till later to say this when we got done with all the songs, but like it's such to have all of these different band comparisons. And one reason why I think it was kind of funny is like, how do you fit every single genre possible into one album? And how do you do that but have oh, my cat's excited about it too. How do you do that, but you still have great production, super clear, like open guitar tones, the vocals are front center, and I just think that that's absolutely incredible and amazing to do that all in the span of one album and still have it fit the concept of the album, which is life and raw emotional vulnerability.
And it's fantastic that you brought up like the concept of life, because this song is about death and embracing it with the line. And it creates just this incredible imagery. And the song itself starts with just acoustic guitar and vocals reminiscing on how one has lived their life. It picks up with almost a marching feel. And we do get a reprise of Island. Which is like, you know, closing out with the reprise from the first song on the record is fantastic work. And then we end the track with swelling orchestral movements and horns. It just absolutely tears me apart from listen to listen. And a lot of my friends were hoping they would bust this out at Red Rocks, and unfortunately they didn't, but maybe next time. You know, eventually we're going to come to the day where Coheed does take the stage for the last time, and Welcome Home will probably be the last song they end on, but at least for the main set, end on Peace to the Mountain, because this is, it might not be the heaviest song in terms of like instrumentation, but it is the heaviest song in terms of a journey and coming to an end, and you know, it's just saying Peace to the Mountain. It's not a song that I can listen to over and over and over because it's like emotionally draining, but especially in preparation for this episode and having to sit down and listen to it and face it, I mean, one of the most beautiful songs in the entire history of music. Phenomenal.
It's one of the best outros on an album that there is. It's a really good closing point for the journey. And I think, like I said, it's so versatile that even though it is the perfect closing song, I can also see how it could be absolutely stuck almost anywhere because of how. And I know it's interesting, like you said, the subject matter, like you might not, maybe that wouldn't be your first thought going into it. But like I said, you could play it at a funeral, but you could also play it at like, hey, you graduated college, or oh, you got a new job and you're moving away. Like you could really stick it in almost anywhere.
This song kind of changed how I communicate with people. Like when you hang up the phone, you're usually like, oh, bye, see you later. But the final word of this album is peace. So, I just started, just saying, like, ending out conversations, especially with my dad, like people say peace, that's how we close out our conversations with each other. And it's kind of like transpired to how I do it just in general, because I don't know, that there's just something so beautiful without, instead of ending on bye or goodbye or whatever, ending on peace is like such a beautiful thing. And while this may be the end of The Color Before the Sun proper, with the box set of this record and the Big Beige demos and the deconstruct stuff, we get 2 bonus tracks. So we are not done here, COTF. We still have Bridge and Tunnel and Fangs of the Fox. Bridge and Tunnel, though, straight up feels like a PFI song in the same vein as Elm Street Loverboy, which is honestly awesome because, like, this song rocks. I like the unrelenting kick drum. We get a drum and piano break. And then Claudio spits some bars. We do get a music video for this demo, which is actually just shots of New York City with some cool effects over the scenes. And, you know, it's always nice to look at your home city while grooving along to Coheed and Cambria. And being a bridge and tunnel girl actually does have a few meanings, but what is probably implied by the song is referring to having a love interest in New Jersey, since the West Side Highway runs along the Hudson River, and you'd have to take either the George Washington Bridge or the Holland Tunnel to get to New Jersey from New York City. So, yeah, it's a very New York song, kind of a very New York album. So,
not being from New York, I definitely can't relate to that part of it. But what I can relate to is I think that it's a heartfelt ballad. It's a little love letter to New York, right? And so I can relate to it's
4 a.m. The city sleeps as I fall, the cold air diatone, desperate to hear us speak.
plus
Bridge and tunnel girl, come back to me, come back to me. Bridge and tunnel girl, she's older.
and the different inflections that happen with that. The bridge and tunnel line really is very catchy. I think I said this a few weeks ago. I was listening. It was a couple months ago. It was before I knew I was going to be on the episode, and I said to you something like, "This song's so catchy. How come more people don't bring this up?" And you're like, "Well, you know." And I'm like, "Oh, that's true." When I was a young parent, I'm not a collector anyways. I don't really like stuff. That's one way you and I have a little bit of a difference, right? And I was at a time in my life where I couldn't get a box set. And I think that it's a testament to like the journey and the growth and stuff. I'm at a point in my life now where I am fortunate I do own that box set now, and I was able to get that later in life. And so I want to just take a quick minute to, like, anyone that listens to this should know that, like, Coheed is for everyone. If you miss out on something, if you can't collect something, if you can't get every variant, or, you know, you're bummed you're going to miss a tour, or like anything like that, I just want you to know that you're not alone. That's happened to every single one of us, Codif, and we all have each other's backs. And the important part of it is the community that we take away from everything. And so I like to think, like, with this one, it's kind of like, it kind of like reminds me, like, of the connection, right? Like bridge and tunnel, right? And like you could be in Jersey, you could be in New York. I'm not in either one of those places, and we're still all really connected through these songs, through the lyrics. And it's an interesting one too. Like, they have like some interesting snare accents in it. There's weird, I don't know the technical terms for it, but there's like some weird broken chords going on, and like wild fills with the guitar that's happening, which is really cool in the song. And I think every time I listen to it, I hear kind of something new with it. And I think this is the national progged up.
the thing is, these are demos. So when you say like broken chords and, you know, weird notes, like that's kind of the beauty of these parts of these songs. The other side of the 7-inch that was included with the record, all the way on the other end of the United States, because this is basically about LA, Hollywood, and how it may not have the best outcome for everyone. Fangs of the Fox has the lyrics.
Night sunset, Hollywood, just close your eyes, and when the morning comes, we'll be miles across state lines. Oh, the escape's so good, it tastes so sweet, but we'll regret.
Followed by a very prize fighter Inferno style harmonica solo. Which, again, another tear-jerking moment is like, how can you convey so much emotion through a freaking harmonica, dude? We know that you can do it from Prize Fighter, but now you're putting it in Coheed. Ah,
The harmonica has a really special place for me. My dad was a really, really big Tom Petty fan, and a really, really big harmonica fan, a lot of other artists too. And so I grew up hearing it, listening to it, and playing harmonica. And I think hearing that kind of out of the middle of nowhere come into a like my favorite band, right? I've had now two of those moments. That was one of them, and the other moment was the very ELO Mr. Blue Sky coded So It Goes moment. I got to share that with my dad, and he loved that song. It was the first Coheed song he liked and we could talk about, and that was really cool. And I think this song is very, it's funny you say that it's the other coast, right? And we're both technically East Coast, West Coast, right? And it's funny because before we recorded this, I liked Bridge and Tunnel better. And I told you that. I said, I think Bridge and Tunnel is very underrated. Like, I really like it. And after listening so many times to both of them, Fangs of the Fox has really grown on me. Like it's so it's storytelling with nitty gritty raw edges. It's really, really powerful. And I think that with the punchy storytelling riffs, I think that this was Alkaline Trio thought about the Gaslight Anthem.
Every band that you've mentioned would be either a sick tour or Coheed has toured with them, which is so funny.
I tried to make comparisons. One, I tried to never repeat a band. I also tried to make it so that anybody that's listening that maybe you would know, the exception of maybe Stars, but like that everyone would maybe kind of know maybe some of these bands, and then you might go like, oh, I love Paramore, and then like, hey, maybe, you know, I do like that song a little better than I thought, or maybe there is a new way to kind of look at this. But yeah, I think that was definitely a really good tour. A lot of these bands have toured with them or should in the future. Hint, nudge.
Well, that pretty much wraps up our discussion on The Color Before the Sun, the music from the record. And if you would like to listen to the music, there are a few CD variants out there, like a clean CD, which was really funny when you mentioned in You Got Spirit Kid how your kids substitute fuck with different sounds because it's, you know, chopped from from the clean CD. There's a Best Buy exclusive, an FYE drop, which actually came with The Color Before the Sun guitar picks. There's a demo cassette, which was used for the touring cycle VIPs, the deconstructed version, which of course was a digital release and included the full album demos and those soundboard rips that we talked about earlier. And there is, of course, the box set for this album. And with that box set, Children of the Fence who pre-ordered were entered to win a golden ticket for any Coheed headline show. It turns out that our mutual friend Wendy won, which is so freaking cool, and hopefully we will have Wendy on an episode in the future. But back to the actual box set. It came with a signed certificate of authenticity, a platinum card akin to a black card that was embossed with the names of pre-order purchasers who also had their name in the back of the record, and we got a key that could be cut with a standard album on CD and the demo album on CD, the Physics of Color documentary on DVD, a lapel pin, the Unraveling Palette of Dawn, which is the quote-unquote real behind the album, and a lyric art book, and lastly, the Fangs of the Fox and Bridge and Tunnel pressing on a clear 7-inch, but some of those were actually mispressed and had the same song on both sides. So there is a very unique variant of that out there as well. And with the box set purchase, you also got the ability to enter a special website, which had some messages from the bands, pre-sale info, and all that fun jazz. But on the vinyl end of things, we do have a demo pressing, as we were talking about before, which was a clear mispress and actually had the standard album on it. So they were never supposed to make it into circulation, but alas, they did. There's a Storm Blue pressing, an Eggshell pressing, 180-gram pressing for the audio files out there, the standard black pressing, a silver pressing, and a picture disc pressing. I wonder if this list will continue to grow to coincide with the album's 10th anniversary, especially since we just got that massive box set repressing for the original 4 albums through Revolver and the new Entities edition of Axis 3. With all that being said, Tiny, what are your final thoughts on The Color Before the Sun?
So The Color Before the Sun is supposed to be like the music that's made before the world wakes up, right? Or like the time before Atlas, and this reigns through the whole album, right? Like I kind of mentioned earlier, my experience of, casually listening and, and downloading things in junior high or playing games in high school or friends that listened and stuff. But kind of my journey into it, like I talked about, the Afterman albums being kind of important, and then The Color Before the Sun really being kind of like that start of that journey of the online world and like Codif community. And I think that at that time, because it was it was this time of year, it was the fall time, and you start to get into the holidays and stuff like that. And I believe it was December. I believe it was just before Christmas, and I should have looked this up, but I think it was around Christmas time, and Claudio did a cover of Hello by Adele. And I heard it one day at work, and I just broke down into tears. Like I was like, this is beautiful. Like I was like, what the fuck? Like why does this even exist? Why did this even happen? And later, I would come to find out why he recorded that. It's actually really sweet. And I just felt so like I was like, wow. And that actually was the moment that this album and that song being released within a couple of, very soon after one another, those two things together is actually what shifted. I really started getting into the lyrics and the vocals. It's not really a secret. I'm a very big Trav Riff Real Estate fan, and we're both got our Stever Believer shirts on today. Yeah. And so this was actually the era that I was like, oh, okay. I was like, this is like the lyrics were amazing. The vocals were good, but I was like, wow, this really showcases that raw kind of emotion. So it's great. No comics, no keywork, no space opera, still Coheed. The album art was really cool. The different like pastel colors and stuff, that kind of motif that kind of came through. Loved that. And then it's brighter and more direct, than the previous kind of prog albums that they had. But it's amazing. It's one of my favorite albums in the whole entire world. And one little funny tidbit to leave you with on my summary is that this year, after 10 years, I'm happy to report that I have not had a typo in almost a year now. For nearly a decade, I have struggled to write TCBTS, The Color Before the Sun, because a lot of times I would accidentally write TCTBS, The Color Taking Back Sunday, or something. So I'm really happy to finally have had that acronym right.
I cannot believe Taking Back Sunday was just mentioned on this episode.
You can always edit it out.
I do agree with you. It was like Claudio walking around Brooklyn and playing Island for kids was like, oh, this dude is awesome. Like, this is Coheed is for everybody. It's, transcending demographics and target audiences, and it's just like good music is good music. Over time, have come to love this album as my favorite Coheed album, and kind of like you, Axis 3 is kind of is coming for it, but I don't know if we're there just yet. But like, for example, like Mars, my cat, when we went to adopt them, it was 5 years ago now, we were kind of debating it, and we were on the fence, pun intended. And when we asked for more info and we got that her name was Mars, it was like, whoa, okay, yeah, she's got to come home with us. Like, there's just a lot of things that just line up with this record and my life, and it was kind of like I don't know if I really believe in anything per se, but I do believe in the universe and how we exist here, and that was just a big sign to me. And this album is very in your face with its signage and its metaphors and its meanings. And I don't know, this album came out in a difficult time in my life, a big transitional period, and helped kind of center me. And probably my favorite memory of this entire saga of time is the first time I listened to this album cover to cover. They released it a little bit early at Comic-Con. They're doing a midnight show at St. Vitus. And I remember getting the CD, doing the whole Comic-Con, and my dad and I, we jumped in the car and made it to Brooklyn from Manhattan to catch the show. And it was downpouring. Like you couldn't see in front of you kind of thing. So we parked kind of under a bridge and we just listened to the album together before seeing the show. And it was it's just one of those things I'll never forget, just being like, just looking at my dad and being like, this is so good. And then going to see Coheed, and then the next day doing a signing with them at Comic-Con, and then going to see them at Asbury Park. Like, that was just a ridiculous, like, couple days. And I was just so glad to do it with my dad and, like, always have that be tied to this album. And later on, actually earlier this year, when we were visiting some family upstate, we did happen to drive by the Big Beige and take some pictures, and like that was just so cool too. And obviously we were respectful of the people that live there because that is someone's house, and not trying to be creepy about it at all, but it was just cool to see. But going back to what you said about Paramore, I love beige albums. I think that's just what it is, because Folie du the Bears are beige. It's my favorite Fall Out Boy record. After Laughter by Paramore has the beige pastel colors. That is my favorite Paramore record. Danger Days from My Chemical Romance is a beige pastel record, and that is my favorite My Chemical Romance record. And actually, they both have bonus tracks, Danger Days and The Color Before the Sun, that talk about California, where Danger Days has We Don't Need Another Song About California. Coheed has Fangs of the Fox. I just thought that was really funny. But I love The Color Before the Sun. I will always be The Color Before the Sun truther. And it's really, a unique part of the discography, and is the reason that I am such a big Coheed fan today. So, this album changed my life, and I'm extremely grateful for the journey it's led me on. So, yeah.
I think that's the perfect way to sum it up, and I'm so glad you got to have that experience with your dad and other Codif. I think that's a good testament to, I don't have maybe the best like in-person or physical like blood family support system, and the Coheed community is absolutely my family, is absolutely feels like one giant connection, community, family, and that it transcends the music, it transcends the lore, it transcends all of it. There is no greater fandom.
Absolutely. And to just be quite honest, you have, especially in the last few years, been such a major part in maintaining the community vibes and connecting COTF from all over the world. And I just want to say a genuine thank you for all that you do for the community. And we are stronger and more unified because of the things that you do. And I'm so glad that you were able to join the Goddardam Gazette for this episode. And again, just thank you so much. So I just wanted to throw it to you. And how can the Children of the Fence connect with you? How can they find you? What do you have going on inside and out of the Coheed community? The floor is yours.
Wow, another loaded question. I think he's really filling this time. He's trying to push it so I don't have time to ask my questions. No, I'm just kidding. He's on the edge of his seat waiting for it, though. Well, as far as I go, I'm a very busy person. I am a single mom and a teacher to two tiny humans. I'm a full-time variety VTuber on Twitch. I am part of the Women's and Pride Guild with Twitch, and I'm also on their front page for the year of 2025, featured on their Limitless Talent Shelf for creators with disabilities. And I also won the 2025 GameHers Awards for Cosplay Streamer of the Year. Most important of my streams and my outside Coheed Realm stuff is still centered in community. I'm a charity streamer. I've raised over $8,900 for charity. I love community. I think that the power of community can do absolutely anything. I obviously, in the Coheed realm, a lot of people know me. Some people might not. I am the community manager. I make sure that the community hopefully is super duper happy and having a good time and has all the information that they need and can connect and hang out, plan cool events. Was brought in to build and maintain the Discord for Coheed. You should join it. Discord.gg/Coheed. That's how you join that. You see me over there. You see Dev over there. Some other familiar faces. Good place to get info. We're actually going to be playing games over there right after we record this podcast episode. And if you wanted to find me, you could go to tinyvalkyrie.com to find me on all of the things. And before all of that, I was doing a lot of other things that have nothing to do with the music industry or the video game or creation or production or broadcasting. So whatever you want to do, just do it. Don't listen to anybody else. Don't be miserable in your life. Just do it, because you might just be sitting there listening to The Color Before the Sun, wondering what the heck one day. And then maybe like 10 years later, you'll just be like here hanging out, talking to your pal about your favorite band. And that's life, and that's the journey. And I think that's a really good kind of metaphor for The Color Before the Sun.
Heck yeah, dude. Now, you've been saying that you have these questions to throw back my way. So before we close out, what you got?
All right. I have 20 questions, rapid fire questions for Dev. They're rapid fire. It should not take more than 2 to 5 minutes, and if it does, you should start timing him because he's going to get an F. It's graded. I'm just kidding. All right. Are you ready? Rapid fire. Vinyl or streaming?
Vinyl.
Arena show or intimate club gig?
Club gig.
Concept albums or singles?
Concept albums.
Mosh pit or balcony seat?
All right. Are we front row balcony, mid balcony, and where are we in the pit?
We're in the middle of the pit getting absolutely blasted. We are mid balcony.
Pit.
Okay. Acoustic set or full electric?
Oh, man. Depends on the band.
Hey, everybody. This is the Goddamn Gazette reporting in about the band Coheed.
Okay. I don't know. Coheed Acoustic does something to me, but I don't know. Manning your own jackhammer with... Okay, a full electric. Full electric.
Okay. The Color Before the Sun or The Father of Make Believe?
God damn it. Color Before the Sun.
We'll make it if you believe.
The Color Before the Sun. Yeah.
You can't answer T-Fom on this episode. That's
no,
criminal.
Yeah, that's diabolical.
What's your favorite planet?
Honestly? Oh, that's a really good question. Yeah, let's go Hilmgore. I like
love
the
the way that I was waiting to, because I love the way that he understood that question. If I would have asked the question to anyone else, myself included, they would fucking say Saturn or maybe Mars or maybe even Earth. But he actually selected a planet from Heaven's Fence, which is what the question was meaning. So good job. That was a trick question. You did it. More underrated, Afterman albums, plural, because there's 2 of them, or NWFT?
Afterman. Because No World gets lumped into like the big 4, which are put on a pedestal for good reason. But the Afterman, that was game-changing music. For me, at least.
I agree. And the story, impeccable.
Yeah.
Who are you fighting, Wilhelm or Mayo?
Mayo. Oh my God, Mayo. It took the Crowing to take down Wilhelm. Are you kidding me?
Hey, I don't know what your confidence, your abilities are like. KBI or Rebellion?
KBI. To be an iRobot, that would be so sick.
iRobot will never die. Coffee or tea?
Tea. Come on.
Pizza or tacos?
Unless it's Coheed Roasters. A New York slice. Come on.
Cats or dogs?
Cats. But I do love dogs.
Space or time travel?
Time travel.
Lore or music?
Music.
The last 5, and they get tougher. It is the crunch time. Tethered Together or In Keeping Secrets chant?
In Keeping Secrets, but I think that's just because more people are familiar with it. I think Tethered Together has the potential to be wicked live, though.
Co-headliner or no?
No.
Every code if ever. Dream lineup.
I know this may contradict what I just said, but dream lineup would be Smashing Pumpkins Coheed co-headliner with like Hail the Sun opening, or an evening with Coheed and Cambria, and it's just a Coheed show, like straight up no other bands, just Coheed.
Tethered Together. I already read that one. Just kidding. We're gonna pretend like I didn't read that one. Island or Big Beige Island. You should have seen the face that he just made at me, y'all. That he just like, duh, I'm obviously gonna pick Island, Tiny. And then he heard me say Big Beige Island, and he was like, oh, wait a sec.
Island Studio. Island on the record.
Okay, that's fair. And I have to give you another one because I duplicated 2 questions. So the 20th and final question, and if I counted wrong, then someone should definitely call that out and comment it. If you could not pick Island, what would your favorite song be?
Rise Naya Nasha.
Well, that's another episode for how I feel about that song and that album.
It's Rise Naya Nasha or Radio Bye Bye. But yeah, Rise Naya Nasha. I mean, just the way the drums kick in on that is like, I'm sad. Those were some tough questions, man.
Sometimes you got to play it tough, a little bit of hardball, you know? Got to keep you on your toes.
Yeah. That's that was really cool. Thank you so much again for joining this episode and for being a phenomenal guest and talking about the greatest record of all time. Totally objective in that, in that statement.
Thank you for having me. I love Coheed. I love the Coheed community. And anytime that I have the opportunity to do something in that realm or help out somebody in that realm, I'm absolutely happy to do so.
Heck yeah. Well, we're going to take a little break from talking to each other. We're going to then jump back into the Coheed and Cambria Discord for some good Apollo games. And if you think that sounds cool, you should totally join the Coheed Discord at discord.gg/Coheed. Tiny's there. I'm there. Tons, like 8,000 plus of COTF are also there. All of that being said, this has been another episode of the Goddardam Gazette. I'm Devin.
And I'm Tiny.
Over and out, Connecticut. We'll see you next time.
Okay, so if you want to add this in the little part where I talked about myself, where you totally asked people to find me, I can say this part.
Perfect.
So you just stitch it in if you want. If you don't,
yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, you asked where to find me. I was like, I told you all about myself and then said nothing else, which was pretty. I think like I looked at my notes and I literally used strikeout as I was talking about stuff. So like I wouldn't leave anything out. Like I was like, I want to make sure I get everything in there. And then when it got to my part, I was just like, I'll just rattle off these bullets and get rid of it.
I also use strikeout. However, it's the,
I need to do that next time with a pen.
Two sides of the same coin. But this was a lot of fun. Thank you seriously for recording this with me. I fucking love this album, and it's always good to talk with a friend about something that like, yeah, I can talk to my friends about music and stuff, but like to talk to a Coheed fan who loves the music.
There's no comparison. It's also crazy, like doing a preparation for something like this. Like, did I need to have the kind of notes that I did on this? Absolutely not. Did I have the most fun? Like, truly is just a really cool, unique way to go back and look at a favorite album.
Yeah, and I hope that when people listen to these episodes, they hear how much fun it was to listen to the record and then go back and revisit the record after hearing the episode, or not even if like just like a couple songs in, they're like, why am I listening to people talk about the record? I can just go listen to the record. I hope those moments happen, and yeah, I'm ready to play some games now.
Dude, I'm so ready. Let's do it. All right. Wait, before I leave, did Are like obviously you don't say maybe like when they're coming out, but it's like totally fine to like tell people that we recorded
Oh,
and stuff, right?
absolutely. Yeah,
I have
yeah.
to find
There's
this thing that I said to Ro. I fucked up. I asked you about it was during You Got Spirit Kid, and I asked you, do you think this would have been received differently if it had been like placed in a different part of their discography? And I think that
uh
your answer to You Got Spirit Kid really does answer that because it's the same answer in my opinion. And after hearing your thoughts, I think you probably have the same answer. I don't think it matters where they released The Color Before the Sun. I think it's gonna have the same haters, the same shit because people just don't like it because and nobody gives a fuck who you are. But just so you know, that question and then a follow up of where do you think it should have been for maximum appreciation were questions from Ro because I went behind your back and I got some questions from the Codif for the 20 questions. I was like, anybody got any questions that they want to ask Dev?
oh my gosh.
I can't wait for that episode. We need to do an episode of my friend Devin that's read the stories 500 million times and my friend Tiny who's only read them actively through once and only has lore from pieces.
Okay. That's actually really funny because I have my friend Josh wants to do like an Anime Wars for Dummies kind of episode. So maybe you and him can join in
That would
on
be
it.
really funny.
I'll probably throw some kind of live version of a song.
Jeopardy music.
Jeopardy music. Yep, I'm gonna start this
The
out
Imperial
with
March.
Oh, that's good too. Okay, okay. Well, where is my lightsaber when I'm screaming danger? I thought this Celsius was gonna be fizzy, so I opened it and I took a sip and I was like, oh, this went bad. And then I was like looking at it and it was fizz free. Like, okay,
Oh,
yeah, cool.
so you
Cool.
just messed up.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Perfect. Like, let's be a little cheeky, but not like cross the line.
And that's that's the whole point. Is like, it's not, you know, you know. I don't need to.
Yep. You want to go play some games and click some heads?
Heck yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it.
All right, let me stop recording on this.